Today we're going to talk about race. As we're looking at the political competition today with Kamala Harris being the Democratic nominee, race is back in the picture. Many disparaging her because she is right now claiming the black part, and her opponents say she's pandering to black folks. And at one time she was embracing the Indian part of her heritage, and some say she was pandering to those folks. And so we're going to discuss the concept of race briefly today, because I think knowledge is everything. And I believe we've touched on this before, but let's just bring it up again. We need to understand first that the concept of black, being a black person in America, or anywhere in the world, what is that? As we're watching the Olympics or the pre-Olympics activities, we're seeing black people from all over the world, from the Netherlands, from Great Britain, from the Caribbean, from North America and South America, from Asia. We see black people all over, and of course Australia, from all over the world, and of varying shades, as far as the color of their skin and all, and their other characteristics, their other physical traits. And what I want to share with us today is that how do you define a black person? Okay, you can't. The concept of black, a racial construct, was created by white people early on in the late 1700s, early 1800s, to justify an attitude toward and even the oppression of people who were not white. Okay, so there's a system of the brown people, the yellow people, the red people, the black people, and the white people. So totally created, totally made up by folks who really didn't have insight, scientific insight into genetics. Okay. It was a social issue. So this whole concept of who is black and who is white and all this was made up. It's not scientific. It's not correct. For example, myself, what am I? I'm a black person. This is what I've embraced all my life. I came up in the 70s on the heels of the Black Panther movement, Black Power movement. And so I've embraced that, and there was strength, and there was power, and there was unity in that as a black man relating to other people, other black people. Okay? So for me, I've embraced the idea of being black for a power, for a unifying understanding that wherever I've gone, even in the military, with us overseas or throughout the States, that there was a commonality between people who considered themselves black. Okay, but from a scientific perspective, they're really, how do you define that? Okay. I was speaking to a gentleman, and we were talking about the statistics and the stats and the numbers of people, of black on black crime versus white on white crime, versus all that, and we came to the conclusion that basically black on black crime was identical to white on white crime and yellow on yellow crime, because most people that commit crimes and murders and all this are committing these crimes within their own communities around people who are like them. Okay, but I want to take it a step further than that. I want to suggest that how can you come up with any kind of statistics about black people when we're talking from a genetic perspective? Okay, like for me, for example, my grandfather on my mother's side was a brown immigrant from Mexico. Okay, Mexican, and my great grandmother on my father's side was a white immigrant from Ireland. Okay. So my daughter did a DNA research on our family, me and my wife and her, and as it turns out, I'm 47% black African. Go figure. My daughter is 60+%, and my wife is 80+%. So are we all black? Can you consider me black when only 47% of me has that DNA within me, or that genetic strand within me? Can you? Or my daughter who's 60%, or my wife who's 80%? Which one of us are black and which one of us are not black? So how does that work out then? Because first of all, we have to realize that black, the idea of black from a racial perspective, was just created by white people with the dubious intent to oppress. So it's not really a real thing. And so then you find each of us with varying degrees or varying percentages of black African within us. So how do you just classify everyone who has, 10%, 20%, 30%, 50%, 80%, 90% as all being the same, as all being black? It doesn't make any sense, because it's not scientific, because even the concept of race was created out of thin air for the dubious purpose of oppressing people, okay? So just realize that. So the point then is, if we want to embrace blackness, we embrace it because we choose to, for a feeling of power, of gain, of unity, or for whatever our reason is, usually for a positiveness, not for a negativeness. Now when that concept of black is being used by white people or people outside of what we've considered to be black, it's always used it's never used for a positive. Oh, he just got hired because of that, all this kind of stuff. It's never positive. Okay, so recognize this. The concept of being black is it's fiction. It's created for dubious purposes. Now, if I want to use it for my own benefit, I will. To identify myself with other people who are from, an oppression, an unfair and undue oppression, by folks who nowadays are no better than those folks who they were once attempting to classify so that they could oppress, without guilt, right? And so when we look at someone like Kamala Harris, who can at times have embraced the Indian side of her, at times embraced the black side of her, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because it is absolutely true. She has a lineage of India. She has a lineage of black within her, of what we call black within her. Look at the color of her skin. People are ridiculous. As well, I find there is an ignorance as far as trying to classify black people as African American, okay? Now there are African Americans, if you want to embrace that, but those are that's a nationality, that's a nation. It doesn't have anything to do with your genetics, okay? So and I was, if you look if you Google Indonesian black people, if you Google Asian black people, if you do, there are black people of every shade, different shade all over the world, what we call black. Okay, why? Because the genetics from Africa are recessive in some and more dominant in others in varying degrees. Okay, so just recognize that I want to embrace the Mexican heritage from my grandmother, or I want to embrace the Irish heritage from my great grandmother, or I want to embrace the African heritage. That is 47% of me. I can, because it's legitimate. So people will use race, they will use nationality, they will use anything they can to disparage you, against you. You use it for power. If I need to identify with Mexicans, who when I see Mexican immigrants coming to this country, I don't care how they got here, I embrace them, I have a heart for them. Why? Because that's in my blood. Okay. As far as Irish people, I really don't feel that, but I could if I wanted to. As far as African people, I feel that too, because I have a connection there as well. So because of our lineage, okay, because of the relationships that we've had, and the blood flowing through our veins, based on the color of our skin, even we can identify with who we want to identify with, and there's nothing wrong with it at all. But let's not be ignorant as far as classifying everyone as one particular group for a reason of negativity, because it's a truth be told that is not scientific, and it's just stemming from the seed of ignorance. Which during this political time, as you turn on TikTok and these social media outlets, you find there's a lot of ignorance out there. Folks just don't know, and it's like people don't want to know. So I'm just sharing this with you right now. What is a black person? If they recognize and identify the relationship that they have toward black Africa or black people anywhere, based on their genetics, that's totally up to them. But you can't classify them in a classification of all black people. That's ridiculous. Because if you could, you wouldn't be ragging on her for embracing the Indian side from time to time. Whatever blood is flowing through your veins, you can embrace that. It's up to you. And I see even among African Americans, I don't want to call myself African American. I want to call myself American. I want to call myself black. I was born in 1958. So I've seen the transition. I've seen colored, from Negro to Afro-American, to African, to African-American, to just simply black. All these things, these are choices of people, with that genetic blackness, running through their veins, but it's a choice. You can't, there can be no scientific classification to determine this is black people and this is white people. Now you could take this probably deeper as far as white people too, just because it's the color of your skin that you're seeing, but I don't even want to go there because that's not even an issue. But the issue is this: the black people, you cannot create a statistic on black people. You cannot say this many black people are on welfare, although we know more white people are on welfare than black. You can't say this many people have this or that are black. You can't, because you cannot classify black unless you're going to take every shade. Look my arm up here. I've been wearing short shirts in the summertime. This kind of black would have to be a different categorization as this type of black. So it's fictitious. The whole black thing was just a social construct by some dubious white people simply to justify their oppression or the disparaging of certain groups who were non-white, okay? Not scientific, totally ignorant, yet we're still embracing that today. Don't even put it on your application unless you feel it's going to benefit you. Just put other on there, because who knows, really? But you can't just classify every person with brown skin and a hint of African descent as black. That's totally negative. That's totally oppressive, unless you're going to use it for your benefit, and that's your choice. Lord knows it's been used as a detriment to us most of our lives. Take it. As I tell my daughter, if there's something out there that you want, take it and appropriate it, and it's yours. How's that? I hope I've cleared the air up a little bit.